Welcome back to the layout, guys. Just getting ready to make some improvements. Just got back, had to make a run to grab some adhesive. Gonna get our next portion of the backdrop installed. Coming off the mountain cut, we got another scenery item from Trackside Scenery that's gonna get spotted right into this location right here. So my brother and I are gonna get to work and I'll show you how we do it. Doesn't mean it's the right way, just the way that works for us. So stay tuned. Hopefully you enjoy this. Thanks for stopping by. Lake Erie Midwestern Railroad. The first thing I'm doing, I just kind of want to prep in between where the backdrops are going to meet. These are both straight edges, straight from Trackside Scenery, but you never know. Over time, things might shrink. You might get a little bit of separation, and the last thing I want is sky blue to be poking through. I suppose after the fact, I could have come in with a really dark green Sharpie. I know some people use black Sharpie, but just these cheap acrylics that you can get at Walmart, you know, these apple barrel acrylics. I'm just coming in with a dark green. It's called English Ivy. It'd match up to these trees really well if by chance the backdrops don't perfectly align. So we're going to get this put up here. I'm about a little more than halfway done right now. And we'll let that dry for probably, stuff dries really fast. Probably give it 10 or 15 minutes to dry. And in that time, I'll start working on the backdrop. These backdrops are from the Trackside Scenery Blue Sky Mountain series. So the Blue Sky Mountain and Blue Sky Valley series are just what they say. They're blue skies. There's no clouds in them. My brother and I talked about this before we made the decision for the backdrops on what we're going to do, and kind of made the decision to go without any clouds. Now, that doesn't mean we won't paint some clouds down the road, some light cloud cover or, haze at the horizon level. And I think it would look really cool towards the top to blend it off to like an azure blue, like a darker sky blue. Usually when you're outside on a bright sunny day, no clouds in the sky, no precipitation forming. As you look up deeper and deeper into the sky, it tends to get a darker, more cobalt blue. So we might be doing something like that down the road. We shall see. But let me get this finished up here, and as soon as I wrap this part up, we'll get to removing the sky above the tree line. So Joey from Trackside Scenery, he gets this stuff out so quickly. Really been thrilled with working with him to this point, and I'm not endorsed or paid or being sponsored in any way, shape, or form by Trackside Scenery to do this. Just always like to give shout outs to folks, whose products I believe in. There's no shortage of options in this industry, in this hobby, to get backdrops, and some of you guys with super high levels of artistic talent like just painting your own, which I really respect. But after seeing so many of these Trackside Scenery backdrops on, various layouts, both online and in person, I just really like the look. And more for me, I like the ability that when you're within one of his specific families of backdrops, you can kind of go at your own pace. We're ultimately going to need about probably, I think because of the length of our layout, I think we're going to end up getting 7 or 8 backdrops to get it completed. And I didn't really want to drop $800 or $900 all at once. It kind of allows us to be a little bit fluid with our design as we move around the layout and things begin to change, and we decide that we want to do different things in different places. Oops, you weren't supposed to see that. As we come down here to this end, and then ultimately we're going to be expanding it down into that corner and around. We'll have to find places to move the rolling stock eventually, but as we do this, it'll allow us the ability to kind of change as we go. Sure, we have a plan, we have an idea right now what we want to do, but in the end, things can change. And this has already changed once, and we're only on the second backdrop. So everything shows up nicely packaged and screwed in. So I'm going to go ahead and get the backdrop out of here, and I'm going to actually start getting the sky taken off. We'll go from there. Okay, so we're getting close to the end. One thing I would know, UN scale and HO guys, you're so lucky because the amount of sky above the tree lines or mountains or cityscape, it's not, you've got a lot more options, I guess. It gets real expensive real quick when you're, this is an 18-inch backdrop. I could have gone with more sky, 2 different levels of sky. I think Trackside Scenery does a 24-inch option and a 30-inch option. And all you're really doing is you're paying for extra paper that's going to be sky above. You know, and unless you're taking your sky all the way up to a piece of trim or the ceiling or something like that, you kind of have to blend the sky together. And no paint will be exact. So you essentially have to bring the paint down onto the backdrop with a blending technique. And my brother and I, we just kind of decided that we didn't want to have to deal with that BS. So that's why we're cutting away the sky. Now, one thing I would say, speaking from experience at this point, is use a very sharp blade. This photo paper, and I'm sure most of the backdrop places are using similar paper stock. It's really strong, and you'd be shocked at how difficult it is to cut through and get a clean cut. So initially I was just using the tip of the X-Acto knife, and boy, that's tricky to kind of cut through. So what I find is just kind of getting it started and then using the center of the blade. You can kind of make twists and turns a lot easier. And to be frank, if you're trying to get it exactly on the tree line, boy, you're going to be miserable. So I'm just kind of staying just inside the tree line. These are trees that are off very far in the distance, so there's not a lot of detail there anyway. And as long as you're not cutting straight lines or goofy circles or anything, you're going to be just fine. But we're coming up on the end of it here, and I'm going to cut a couple places, just trim up a couple places where my cuts weren't super clean and it left a little bit of white paper showing. I'm just going to hit that either with a Sharpie or a little bit of acrylic, just a dab of acrylic paint. And then we're going to get to prepping this to get it up on the wall. Show you how we do that. So we've got the sky cut back, and we just have it taped up for now so that we can kind of do a little dry fit here. Our table kind of isn't 100% level, so we're gonna have to make a little trim over here where it doesn't want to snug up against the wall. Not the end of the world. But if we kind of pan back, and if I stop walking into the tripod, you can kind of see how the two scenes, they mate right up, and we'll glue this up nice and snug. And some of the buildings, you know, we have some flats that we're going to be putting in, and we'll cover up. It'll give some dimension. You know, our flats are 3-dimensional. This is just a couple of them. You know, and I don't know exactly where they're going to end up, but when you put the flats up there, and obviously these are brand new, so they haven't been weathered or anything yet. Once you get your flats up there, you start to get that dimension kind of coming off of them, and you can use some different designs and some different buildings to really, you know, kind of bring in that 3-dimensional aspect. So, you know, up against your 2-dimensional backdrop, you get some nice pleasing angles, you know, that the eye kind of picks up on, and do some angled buildings, you know, kind of bringing them up off at a different angle rather than 90-degree perfect right angles. But Eventually what we're going to be doing is there'll be some industrial stuff. We're kind of talking about it, whether there's going to be some industry up here, and if these spurs are going to be serving industries, or we got a bunch of different residential and commercial buildings too that we're going to possibly turn this area into like a street scene. But again, it kind of evolves once we got our track plan down. So it's evolving and we're having a lot of fun. But the dry fit kind of looks I'm really happy with the way it's turning out, and it'll be a nice transition coming down, kind of around the bend, coming up the grade, as we kind of approach, light commercial to heavy commercial, maybe even industrial. All right, so we're going to take this down now and we're going to start doing the adhesive process. So we just got it started, and what we're doing, which might be different than the way you do it, but what we're doing, we just got the track covered up. This is just actually the paper that the backdrop came wrapped in. So we're using that to cover up our existing track and some of our actual, the layout base. We just got the seam lined up over there. We got the first part started. Unfortunately, got just a little nick out of the top of it when we were slowly taking our tape off. Got a little nick, so no big deal. Not gonna lose any sleep over it. I kept the piece. If I can get it to glue back in, I'll use it. If I can't, we'll just we'll paint in a little bit of green paint. It should look just fine. But what we're gonna do as we go now, we have this rolled up, and we'll unroll where we want to adhere. Got some reference marks on the ceiling so we know that we don't want to get offline. And as far as we get going, if you get offline, it is what it is. But we're going to go ahead and spray where on the wall and then also on the backdrop itself, and we'll pull the two together slowly, just adhering them from the inside outwards. And we're going at about 6 to 12 inch sections at a time. And once we're satisfied with where it is, once it tacks up a little bit, we just move on to the next section. So we're going to go ahead and get a few more feet put in right now. here's the finished product, guys. Super thrilled with how it turned out. Probably here in just a few minutes, I'm just gonna cut that little bit of overlap over here where I was mentioning to you. I don't know, who knows, maybe we'll just scenic right over it, forget about it. I don't know, it might be easier that way because we got adhesive on the bottom, but you know, it's just a little spur, a little freight spur. We're possibly gonna have some cement, a cement plant up top or something like that, so that we can kind of load cars or park a couple locomotives off on this spur. It's going to be toggled so that we can cut power on and off if we have a locomotive sitting up there that we don't want power being fed to. But boy, I really feel like Trackside Scenery has it going on. Super happy with the way everything's turning out. The first two of what is likely to be at least 6 backdrops, possibly 7. On our kind of the upper level, I had some leftover from this Doe Valley cut, and I actually put it in down there. So it'll minimize some of the scenery work that I have to do underneath there. That's just gonna be a road that's gonna disappear off under what will be a truss, actually probably a plate bridge right through there. But boy, can't be happier with the way it turned out. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Hope it's been helpful for you. And if you guys have any questions, any specifics that me and my brother used that we didn't go over, or you don't think we are clear enough about, just please post them in the comments. Happy to answer anything. And again, check out Joey at TracksideScenery.com. No endorsement, no paid sponsor. I'm just really happy to support people that support the hobby. And when the product is a high quality product, it makes it all that much better. All right. Thanks a lot for visiting. Happy railroading.